Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host Caleb. Today I have a list of 5 super underrated commanders. We're going to do something a little bit different with this top 5 video though. I'm going to go over all the commanders, I'm going to go over how I would build these commanders, and then in the comment section down below, I need you guys to vote on which one of these commanders you want me to go ahead and flesh out and build an entire deck for. A lot of them I'm super excited to build. I'm going to go over the strategies and then you guys get to vote. So go ahead and click that whatnot link, claim your free $15. Don't forget to get 10% off all of your Tolarian library proxies whenever you use code DT4D. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out. I know it's super annoying for me to ask, but to show I appreciate you guys, I will be replying to all of the comments in the comment section down below. So with that being said, let's get into this top 5 video. At number 5, we have Achet at rank 1082. This commander says whenever Achet enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green insect creature token for each artifact and or creature card in your graveyard. Whenever another creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on Achet. Each opponent loses 1 life. This is 6 CMC, but we're going to make this deck to where we win the game as soon as he enters the battlefield. This is essentially going to be a race to get at least 20 creatures and or artifacts in our graveyard as fast as possible. The best way to do this is mass mill effects. We have Breach the Multiverse, which allows us to put 10 cards in our graveyard, then reanimate 4 things, each from someone else's graveyard. We can also use Hermit Druid that allows us to mill cards until we hit a basic land. Not mill, but kind of mill, you understand. We can also use things like Out of the Tomb that progressively puts more and more counters on it and allows us to mill more and more cards. Eventually, once we get to 20, the goal is to cast our commander, instantly sacrifice our commander, and then either reanimate him or use Feign Death effects to put him back onto the battlefield. We can also use things like Zulaport Cutthroat that allows us to essentially double up on his trigger whenever we're sacrificing a creature. So now we're dealing 2 damage to our opponents instead of just 1, effectively meaning we need half the amount of insects we would have needed otherwise. We can also just play smart creatures here, like Haywire Might and Secure Tribuilder. Secure Tribuilder sacks himself and allows you to search for a basic land to put it onto the battlefield, and then Haywire Might sacrifices itself and allows you to exile a target non-creature artifact or an enchantment. So these are creatures that immediately put themselves into the graveyard and give us value. I think this can definitely be a commander that just steals games. You do nothing almost all game but put cards in your graveyard, and then out of nowhere you have a sack outlet, a Zulaport Cutthroat, you cast your commander, and then you just win the game. This guy is definitely going to catch people off guard. At rank number 4, we have Savala Eager Trailblazer at rank 1576 according to EDHREC. This is a 4 CMC Selesnya commander that has Vigilance, and whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token that has the ability to tap itself to give 1 creature +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate this only as a sorcery. And then Savala has an ability to choose a color, add 1 mana of that color for each differing power among creatures you control. This kind of allows you to create a scenario where Savala Eager Trailblazer is just a straight up Gaia's Cradle in your command zone. I think the most powerful brew we can build of this girl is a creature storm list that uses cards like Rite of Harmony, a 2 CMC instant that says whenever a creature or enchantment enters the battlefield under your control this turn, you get to draw a card. That means with Savala, whenever we cast a creature spell, since she triggers and creates a creature token, and we're also casting a creature spell, that's going to allow us to draw 2 cards every time we cast a creature spell. And then we're going to utilize instants and sorceries that allow us to untap our entire board state of creatures. Pair this with Enduring Vitality and Cryptolith Rites, and now you're able to tap Savala for 6, 7, 8 mana, and then all of your creatures are able to tap for mana as well. We will need to utilize haste for this strategy, which can be weird in Selesnya, but Lightning Greaves works perfectly, and Concordant Crossroads is also a good include since we are storming off and trying to win the game that turn. At number 3, we have Koradora, Heart of Alakria, rank 1237 on EDHREC. This is a 4 CMC legendary creature human knight that says whenever she enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a mount or a vehicle card, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. If 1 or more 1/1 counters would be put on a creature or vehicle you control, that many +1 counters are put on it instead. Her ability to tutor here is definitely the most powerful part of this card. I think you could play a very consistent play pattern where you instantly tutor for Guardian Sunmire, a creature horse mount that says whenever this creature attacks while saddled, search your library for a non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. I'm instantly going to grab Sword of Hearthenholm. This is a sword that says equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from green and from white. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile up to one target creature you own, then search your library for a basic land card. Put both of those cards onto the battlefield under your control, then shuffle. This is going to blink our commander consistently every single turn, allowing us to search up all the mounts and vehicles we could ever want from our library. We also just get to play unique vehicle cards here that we really don't play otherwise, like Thunderous Velocipede. This is a vehicle with trample that's 3 CMC and says each other vehicle and creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it if its mana value is 4 or less. Otherwise, it enters the battlefield with 3 additional counters on it. Remember, our commander is going to change this to be 2 counters or 4 counters because it's going to add an additional one. Can you imagine a 14/14 Reaver Titan? That's 19 damage it's going to deal to someone every time it attacks. There's also other cards that weirdly have direct synergy with this card, like Miriam Herd Whisperer, a legendary human druid that says as long as it's your turn, mounts and vehicles you control have hexproof. Additionally, whenever a mount or vehicle you control attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it, which again is going to be effectively 2 counters because of our commander's ability. Moving on to number 2, we have Lurcan. This guy is rank 1801, which is only 389 dex on EDHREC. This guy has flying, he is 7 CMC, but he has a broken ability that says whenever a creature card is put in an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may pay life equal to its mana value. If you do, put it onto the battlefield under your control. It's a warlock in addition to its other types. If a warlock you control would die, exile it instead. Now I know he's 7 mana, but remember, mono black is only second to green whenever it comes to ramp. We can even double up mana in these colors, and its rituals are actually insane for turboing this guy out. And then once we get him on the battlefield, one Fleshbag Marauder is actually going to just net us 3 creatures, and then we can use cards like Veto to gain all of the life back. This guy does have 6 power, so he hits like a truck. If we're getting 3 1/1s, paying 3 life, hitting like a truck, 6 life, we're always going to be up on the life gain. And then on top of that, we get to play a graveyard hate-ish deck because our opponent's cards are never going to enter their graveyard. I also wanted to mention cards like Villa's Broker of Blood. This is an 8 CMC demon that has flying, and then we can pay 1 black and 2 life to give target creature -1/-1 until end of turn. He also says whenever you lose life, you draw that many cards. So if we drop a Fleshbag Marauder, pay 8 life to steal our opponent's creature, that's going to draw us 8 cards. And I know what you're thinking, 7 mana is still rough. If you ever cast this guy, you're never casting him again because doing 9 mana from the command zone is just going to be insane. And you're exactly right. If this guy ever gets removed, he's going straight to the graveyard and we're going to try to reanimate him instead of worry about ever recasting him. Moving on to what I think is the most #1 underrated commander on this list is Inquisitor Eisenhorn. This guy is rank 1236 on EDHREC. He's a 4 CMC Dimir commander that says you may reveal the first card you draw each turn as you draw it. Whenever you reveal an instant or sorcery card this way, create a 4/4 legendary black demon creature token with flying. We don't care about that text at all. What we care about is whenever Inquisitor Eisenhorn deals combat damage to a player, you get to investigate that many times, which means you're creating one of those clue tokens that's 2 mana to sacrifice it and draw a card. So hear me out. This is a unique Dimir Voltron commander that can utilize cards like Nettlecyst and Cranial Plating that give you +1 for each artifact you control, and then we just make this guy hit like a truck, create over 10 artifacts, and then next turn we're going to make him hit for 20, right? Because we're effectively doubling the amount of artifacts we have on the board every single time this guy deals combat damage. Give this guy double strike or an extra combat step with Genji gloves, and you're going to commander damage someone out like this. Another super powerful thing about this deck is it's not going to be hard to pivot away from the Voltron strategy. There's tons of powerful cards like Marionette Master, Cybertribe Awakener, and Rise and Shine. Marionette Master is a 6 CMC creature with Fabricate, which means we can have it enter with 3 1/1 counters on it, or we can have it create 3 colorless servo artifact creature tokens. Whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So all we have to do is equip the Nettlecyst and start sacrificing our clue tokens, and that's going going to kill the entire table. And then Rise and Shine and Cyberdrive Awakener are just going to turn all of our artifacts into 4/4 artifact creatures, and it's not hard to imagine a world where we just attack everybody with our army of 4/4 clues and kill the entire table. You can also kind of get pretty combo-y with this guy. Imagine Forensic Gadgeteer, a 3 CMC creature that says whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get to investigate. Additionally, it says activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. So now it's only 1 to sacrifice a clue. And then we put Urzalurd High Artificer in the deck that allows us to tap our clues for 1 blue mana, so we can tap a clue and sack a clue for just 1 mana now, and it itself can tap to add that mana to our mana pool. So now we can just draw equal to the amount of clues we have on the battlefield. Time Sieve is also pretty disgusting in this deck. It's a 2 CMC artifact that says tap it, sacrifice 5 artifacts, take an extra turn after this one. This means as long as we can generate 5 clues off of our commander, we're taking infinite extra turns and killing the entire table, assuming we can easily connect each turn with this guy. I think this guy could be an incredibly powerful commander deck, and he's also pretty unique. But what do you guys think in the comments down below? Vote and then we will build the winner. Additionally, guys, if you appreciate the content and you want to support me a little bit, I did launch a new Patreon, so if you guys could go take a look at that. I am now adding a tier that allows me to help you guys brew. It seemed to be my most requested thing, so if you guys are struggling to get an EDH deck to work, you guys can now hire me and I'll help you build it. So as always, I hope this helped you guys in your deck building endeavors. I will see you in the next one.